Alright, so I'm just seeing if the microphone works. Let me see. We can go ahead and get started here. So welcome. I am your host. I am Miguel Oso. I am a self-initiated sage shaman. My practice didn't necessarily begin with tarot. It began with music. In other words, it all began with experimentations, long story short, with drugs. I am currently roughly 3 years sober. So my whole practice really did transition from using drugs and abusing drugs to a more sober-like style in my spiritual work. I didn't necessarily come across tarot as many other people probably got into the practice of discovering the tarot. Being self-initiated means, to me at least, observing not only your surroundings but observing your emotions and observing your presence as being human in this process of transitioning to a different type of being, I guess. I would assume you would probably might not understand it, but I hope you do, those who are into the practice. Now, my channel is called the Healing Heart Tarot. It's a very specific name because I use my heart in totality, in a wholesome way, probably more than an empath would use their psychic abilities. I like to use the logical sense also of tarot. There's a lot of numerology into it. There is a lot of mysticism into it. And there's surely a big structure behind the tarot. Tarots did not become used as a way to foreshadow any type of psychic reading or any type of fortune telling. It didn't necessarily start out that way. It did start out as a game. This type of game originated in China, and from China, the Arab countries developed this into, mainly the Persians developed it into more of a mystical sense of the game. It was more sacred to them than it would be to the Chinese. And from the Arab to the Persians, from the Persians to the Egyptians were the very ultimate way for tarot. It was, we have Thoth, we have Hermes Trismegistus, who developed it into a occult science. Basically, it was turned into a more so it developed. It's this game developed to a sense of conscious awareness within the cards. Now remember, the tarot has a very structuredized way of presenting itself. We're talking about the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, because I can go on with this theory, but to me is very, very concrete to the nitty-gritty, to actually understand where I'm coming from, or at least where the tarot is coming from. So every time or anytime you use cards as a way of divination, it really structures the way you do any type of reading. In other words, this was the fruit that the Tree of Life, the Kabbalah, and many other ancient cultures understood it. They understood how this fruit, this mystical game came to fruition and developed into a more it came to be more of a, not mechanism, but essentially a connection to the heart, which is why I wanted to elaborate on that with my the naming of my channel, the Healing Heart Tarot, because most of humanity really thinks with this and this. So we have a brain, right? We got a left and a right brain. We usually think in that realm of making a decision, and I say roughly about 3% of us, maybe even more now, probably like 5, maybe even 10%, are realizing that the heart also has neurons in its own way. It's the heart itself is, I would like to say that the heart is the first brain, and the brain that we have as being logical, or at least in the mechanical way of thinking, was and is a second brain. So the Healing Heart Tarot synchronizes with that understanding of who we are really, and how we can and may create our own purpose here in this world, the physical world, that is. And that's how I slowly, and it was not right away, but it was something that I wanted to do, something that I wanted to understand more, because I was one of those people that didn't believe in anything higher than myself, though I did go through some challenges, not tragedies per se, but more of a challenge. And to see, at the time I didn't know it was a challenge, not until going further into my self-initiated practice, which becoming a sage, shaman, healer for that matter. And this is why I wanted to choose, or this is why I chose the tarot, to heighten that understanding of what my heart really was, or is trying, or is communicating to me. I would like to say that I am also a channeler, not because I know how to tap into spirit, but because, just burned myself on this sage. Yeah, I wasn't looking. Alright, there we go. Okay, so where was I? Yes, sage. I didn't necessarily chose this route per se. It chose me. So not that I know how to tap into spirit, but spirits in some way, shape, or form communicated with me. At first it was a trip. At first I would think to myself, now remember, I do not have anyone to help interpret these things, so I had to interpret them myself. So for example, the very first spirit that communicated with me physically was Archangel Michael. At that time, you see, I was in a rough patch. I was just tired of the same old routine, and I wasn't one to deny God. I knew there was something there, but I was just sick and tired of not being helped per se. So what happened was, I simply just asked, if you really say what you say you are and are here to protect all of us, or necessarily per se, but for me, like, aren't you here to protect me? And I was out of it at the time too. So when that spirit presented itself to me, it was surely an awakening. It was something that it's something that I will never forget. It's something that's just buried in my psyche. Something that I don't know. It's just really hard to share this experience with you when you weren't there. All right. So that's how it began, with going in through my initiation practice, and to not even realizing that I was becoming a sage. So when that happened, all hell broke loose, at least for me. Spirits started to communicate with me, and there were more good well out to help you kind of spirits more than there were, because there are more certainly bad and good spirits for sure. There's for sure, because if white magic exists, black magic exists as well. If shadow work exists, tarot exists. So it's just like a polarity kind of thing when it comes down to these spirits. So thank God that I was protected by these beings that were not necessarily good for me. And that's how I started to become sober, at least took that road into sobriety. Mind you, I was a heavy drinker. I was an alcoholic. I am a recovering drug addict. So my life completely changed when I took this route to understand the tarot. It's something that I for sure have a lot more to learn. But this video is simply just an intro to what my whole channel is going to be about. It's going to be about divination. It's going to be about meditation. It's going to be about just certain questions that you have that I hope I may answer and help you in your spiritual journey. And hopefully you may get something out of my channel. And that's something that I'm looking forward to, hopefully to help you fulfill that void that your heart simply just needs, that love and understanding from not only your mind but your spirit and your higher self. And my goal is to not just create more goals, but to actually do something with what I have learned into my own initiated practice as a sage. Now, mind you, I did not know that I was becoming a sage until recently. It was something that Spirit was just like, go for it. If you don't do this, you're never going to do it. So this is just something that I'm throwing out there freestyle for you. And before we go on and show you what it's all about, I want to show you simply just the cards that I'm gonna be working with and sharing with you into this practice of the Healing Heart Tarot. There's more to it than that. I also do runes, but runes is gonna be more of a elaborated explanation to what's happening in your day-to-day life. I like the more traditional way of using the tarot. I respect the tarot at its highest. I respect it like if it was any other divine being out there helping us in the development of our psyche and our mind and our higher self. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to the cards that I will be using in this channel. I'm kind of excited, well, overly excited. I just wish I can go ahead and do a reading real quick, but it's within my own practice to take a step back, humble myself, and share with you my experience. And hopefully maybe one day you'll share your own experience with me. Now, this is just an intro to what my whole channel is going to be about, and I'm going to go ahead and stop talking and share with you the cards that I will be using. Alright, first things first that I want to share with you, the very first tarot deck that I came across that simply caught my eye. Now, when it comes down to tarot, it usually happens that way. You're just attracted to the cards and the box and the way it presents itself. And the very first deck that I came across, the very first tarot deck that I want to go ahead and use throughout the series is going to be the Naked Heart Tarot. Now, this was the name of the Healing Heart Tarot, was an inspiration through this tarot, my very first tarot deck. So this is going to be one of the very first decks that I will be using throughout the channel. So you can always look her up by Julian C. Wild. Beautiful, beautiful person, beautiful, beautiful being in this planet. Thank you for creating such a beautiful tarot deck. Beautiful. The second deck I came across is the Osho Zen Tarot. There's a lot of controversy about it, but I can care less on what controversy may be about whatever tarot deck. I really don't care about the drama. I really don't. If anything, I try to stay away as much as I can from the drama. So the second one I got was the Osho Zen Tarot. Now it comes with an extra tarot card, and which is the Master Osho within the tarot card. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tarot deck. It's so free. It's so free to use. It feels so. It's like almost a freestyle way of reading. Like whatever card you pull from this deck is your own way of interpreting it, and how in deep in depth you are and connected with tarot. Now, before I go on, the tarot, like I said before, Tree of Life, the Kabbalah and whatnot, before the Big Bang, there was something already structured for life to happen. All right, so that's how the tarot was originated from. At least that's the idea where it came from. You can always look it up. It's still a debate today, and I believe we as a tarot community have surpassed that. We have surpassed that yes, that the tarot has a start way before we even began, or before even consciousness was and still is present. So there was something before that, so before the Big Bang. So if you have any questions about that, you can always email me, comment below, and we can have a debate on it. I love debating, so dislike the drama, debating is better. But the Osho Zen Tarot, beautiful deck. All right, so this is going to be used hopefully throughout the, because it's a very complex one to not necessarily read, but to interpret. So this is something that I'm currently working on. Very, very complicated tarot deck, but once you get the flow and once you understand the synchronicities of life, it doesn't get any easier to read this tarot deck. So beautiful, beautiful one. Now from the third one, I really don't remember which ones I got, but I believe this was the third deck that I got and working with. I collect crystals. This is a labradorite right here. You got a bit of amber right there, and you got some moldavite right there. Alright, so I'm a gem collector. I have a whole collection of gemstones. We're going to be using gemstones throughout the series, and we'll hopefully synchronize with the stones themselves throughout the readings. I do cleanse my stones, so don't worry. I got incense going on here while I'm doing this video and cleansing the whole area, and so I can have a very, very clear picture on what I'm trying to share with you. Alright, so my third one is the Healing Oracle Crystal Reading Cards by Rachel Sharman. Beautiful, beautiful illustrated deck. The pictures themselves have such a potent power. Yeah, some of us may not be able to afford all the crystals in the world. I know I can't. I try to, but I just gave up at a certain point. They are pretty expensive, but when it comes down to these cards, it literally has the same power, the same potential as if you were to carry or have one right there. So this is why I ended up purchasing this deck, because I wanted to see more of what other crystals that I cannot personally have, but have them in such an energetic, free flow energy from this tarot or oracle deck. So one of my favorite crystal decks out there. Alright, like I said, I really don't remember from here on out which one was the fourth or fifth or sixth or seventh, but I'm just going to show you my collection on what we're going to be working with throughout the series. The next one I have is Crystals, the Stone deck here. This is more of a trivia kind of reading. Alright, so it has the definitions on the back of every card that you pull out from a reading or from any type of divination work. Another crystal deck that I recommend. Beautiful, beautiful deck. I will not be putting the descriptions below because I'm just not there yet, but this is just something that I want to share with everyone, and I hope you're still here with me. I know it's getting a bit pretty boring, but this is something that I gotta be doing, and this is something that I truly love doing, and I want to share it with you. So let's continue on. It's a little more. There's more than I thought. This video is gonna be longer than I thought it would be. Another one would be Barbary, the Zodiac Oracle. All right. So this is one I'll be using for significators. This is going to be something that's going to help me guide me throughout the readings when I do the readings out here on the internet. It's quite different when I do it personally, but when it comes down to the web, this is something I'm going to be using as significators, so I can have a very more elaborate, more sophisticated reading per se. All right, so this is another one. Another one that we're going to be working with is one of my favorites, and I'm currently working right now with, is the Black Moon. All right, this is something I use for shadow work. This is something that we, when I say shadow work, I mean it's something that most oracle or tarot readers really don't like to associate themselves with, but I do, because I simply just want to understand my shadow side as well as my light side. So I want to understand everything about the universe, and this Black Moon astrology card deck is one of the most amazing decks to have when it comes down to shadow work. And when it comes down to this deck, is going to be more complex. We're going to be going more into detail when it comes down to our readings, all right, here in the Healing Heart Tarot. So there's going to be a beautiful mystical magic here going on when it comes down to my series. I can't wait to share with you that experience. It surely helps me out in my day-to-day practice. It really helps me to see things I usually miss, or helps me understand things that I don't necessarily understand at that moment. And this is one of the beautiful decks that helps me to open up my eyes to a greater understanding of what the surrounding cards are all about. So one of the cool decks that I purchased out here in my hometown, or nearby town. Fifth one, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, the seventh one that I love. I also have some indigenous blood in me. I have that shaman side of me, and I don't know, I took a good look at this box, and it just called out to me. This is what got me into spirit animals. This is what got me into realizing that animals too are a part of our lives, and have big definitions when these animals present themselves, whether it's in the spiritual realm, whether it's in the dream realm, or whether it's in the physical realm. But this is one of the decks that we're going to be also working with when it comes down to remedies of healing. All right, so this is going to be one of the particular decks that I will be using for healing purposes, medicine purposes. So this is one of the most unique decks that I came across. Very easy to read, very straight to the point cards here. Beautiful divine deck here. All right, so the next one I want to share with you is a bit more controversy. All right, there's a few channels here on YouTube that talk about sexual energy and the Kundalini and yoga and whatnot. And when I didn't find much videos about sexual energy and how we can use this sexual energy to our advantage, it was something that I want to go ahead and put it in my channel, because the sexuality part of a human being is very important, and how we maintain it and control it to our advantage is very misinformed in today's age. It's really just misinterpreted all throughout. So I want to go ahead and put that within my own channel to help you understand your sexual energy and how you can use that to create and manifest whatever it is that you not necessarily desire, but simply want to create for the betterment of yourself and humanity as a whole. And with that, this is one of the decks that I fell in love with, which is the Tantric Dakini Oracle. You can see the Kundalini energy there. All right, Mother Earth, Gaia. Beautiful box, beautiful packaged box. This is called the Tree of Life spread. Something that I'm currently working and understanding. It really gets down to the nitty-gritty when it comes down to sexual energy. Again, it's very controversial, but I'm going to be doing it I want to be putting it part of my series because it is just as important as your ascension process. All right, because sexual energy is part of that ascension process. Okay, and if we misuse it and misunderstand that sexual energy, a lot of bad things happen, and you can see that today in the vast media that we currently have here in the United States, which is, most of the media today is really false information, and that's pretty much how I see our sexual energy being misguided and misused in today's age. So this is a beautiful deck to help guide that energy to a better understanding of ourselves. So very unique deck that I came across. Fell in love with it. Alright, so I think we're in the last 3 decks. Real quick, I also use cartomancy cards, regular playing cards. I like to use these cards as well, just for general readings. If we really don't want to get down to the nitty-gritty, I usually like to use these, usually for myself, but I'm gonna see how it turns out in the series. All right, and 3 of my most recent card collection bundles here are Divine Feathers. These are going to be clarification messages. These are going to be cards to clarify the whole reading. All right, so one of my favorite decks to clarify the whole reading, or if we need some guidance through the end of the reading, this is one of the cards or one of the decks that I will be using to clarify and get some guidance, whether it's a bad or good reading, because we're gonna get bad. We're gonna get not so well. How can I say that? We are gonna get bad readings. All right, I'm not gonna say that it's always gonna be good readings. There's gonna be bad readings, and when it comes down to those bad readings, I'm gonna pull out these bad boys to help us understand the outcome and how we can change that outcome while we're doing the reading. So this is going to be one of the coolest parts of the series, is just clarifying the whole reading, and I like using these cards. Divine Feathers, beautiful deck, really brings the cherry on top when it comes down to bad readings and good readings, just to get that extra boost. But for bad readings, it really helps to get out of that state of mind. It gets us into that clarity of, okay, this is why this reading came out this way, because I'm like this, or good clarification there. I appreciate that. I love that. This is what I want. This is what I like getting from this deck here. Divine Feathers, absolutely amazing. All right, we're getting close. This is gonna be Dream Oracles. This is a Dream Oracle card deck for the Awakening Dreamer. Alright, so this is going to be also a clarification for the beginning of the reading, and hopefully, if it makes sense, towards the end of a reading that I will be pulling out a card from this deck. It really does clarify a lot, especially if you're a dreamer, especially if you're an astral traveler, especially if you're into that medical, physical, spiritual world where you actually astral travel and, spiritually, physically, almost feel that you're there. This is one of the decks that will clarify what it means, what your dreams mean, what you should understand from that dream. So this is going to be one of those clarifier decks that I will be using throughout the series, and it's love at first sight when it came down to this deck. All right, love it. All right, last one, and I'm only going to be using this in special occasions, like for example, if donations are welcome. Donations are going to be welcome. There's going to be hopefully private readings, but I'm not going to be giving private readings till I know I'm ready to give private readings. For now, this is just going to be part of my initiation practice. This is going to be part of my shaman practice. This is going to be something that I got to put myself into. This is a very challenging moment for me in my practice. This is something that I have to put there. This is something that I have to share. So it's just part of my practice for now. And when I do feel comfortable in doing private readings, I will surely give out that notification to everyone out there. And with that, I want to share with you this special deck that I will not be using yet. Hopefully in the near future, which is hopefully soon. But this is one of my most sacred decks and most recent purchase of my tarot decks. All right, and this is the Universal Weight Tarot. All right, yeah, by Pamela Coleman Smith. And it's recolored. This is a recolored edition by Mary Henson Roberts. Alright. This is something that I have not used yet. I have opened it. I have looked through the book. Beautiful, beautiful meanings within the cards. And as you can see the illustrations here. Beautiful illustration. So this is a card that this is a deck that I will not be using quite yet, due to the fact that is just not that moment. All right, so this is just, like I said, an introduction to the whole series of the Healing Heart Tarot. So that's gonna be it. I hope you enjoyed most of what I said, and I hope you took in most of what I said, and I hope you stick around and stay tuned for more content. So I am working on that. I know I am lagging on it, but I will get you these videos on YouTube. So with that being said, I send you peace, love, and harmony. Namaste, my brothers and sisters. I'm out.
Change your heart. your heart.